Adjustments meetings are quasi-judicial in nature. All decisions of the board will be based on competent and substantial evidence, including testimony provided in this meeting. Any person who is not an applicant or agent that wishes to speak will need to fill out a speaker's card located by the side table by the door and turn them into the clerk. Each member of the public will be given 3 minutes to speak on each item. Please refrain from speaking from the audience, and applause or cheering will not be allowed. Please silence your cell phones. Can we have a roll call, please?
John Moreland.
Here.
Owen Curley.
Here.
Jeff Truewater.
Here.
Todd Smith.
Here.
Jennifer Williams. Matt Metz.
Here.
Laura Tierney.
Here.
Okay, next on our agenda is approval of minutes. Can we have a motion to approve the minutes for June 4th, 2024?
Make a motion to approve the minutes for June 4th of 2024. Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, minutes been approved. Do we have any correspondence? No correspondence.
There's correspondence
Oh,
for that
on
here.
the
On
tips.
days,
Okay.
yes.
Seeing that we have no old business, why don't we go into our new business? Do you want to call the first case?
First case, BOA 24-10020, applicant Christopher Mary Dow, property address 813 North 7th Avenue. Motion to consider sections 34337E1C2 for a combined side yard setback of 13.8 feet in lieu of 15 feet, 34337E1E for 44.4% lot coverage in lieu of 35% maximum, 34337E1C3 for rear yard setback of 18 feet in lieu of 30 feet minimum for a two-story addition in the rear of the property, a single-family dwelling, property address 813 North 7th Avenue.
Okay, as a reminder, each member of the public will be given 3 minutes to speak when we open the public hearing. Does any board member have any ex parte communication?
I've had none. I've had none.
I've got none.
I've had none.
I've had none.
And I've had none. Okay. Would the applicant please come forward to be sworn in and give their presentation?
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this matter is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Please state your name and address.
Mary Beth Dell, 813 7th Avenue North.
Christopher Dell, 813 7th Avenue North.
Roger Russell, 3455 Thalia Road, Jacksonville, Florida.
So, hello again. We are here and presenting for the lot coverage overage and the side yard and rear yard setback exceptions because of our undersized lot. So that is our hardship, and we are hoping to make our home larger and add the rear yard setback. Was the thing that was disputed in our last meeting. It wasn't included on our advertisement, so this is the correct advertisement that correctly addresses that. And it's just for an enclosed, or I'm sorry, Roger, an open lanai off of the back of the enclosed structure. And I think that's all we have.
So just read my notes. Without the lanai, if you didn't have a lanai, you would not have a setback issue. Is that correct?
Correct.
And the lanai is only approximately 12 feet tall?
Yes, 12 feet deep.
But the height does. Your height is only going to be...
Oh, height, I don't even think will be 12 feet.
Yeah, barely. Barely, okay. Just want to make that note.
I believe you mentioned this the last time you were here, but the lot is substandard in size, which is,
Yes.
Correct. So like even our combined yard setback of 13.8 is pre-existing. So I think that's like one example of how the lot is already smaller than what the standard lot size is today.
This is going to remain a single-family home?
Yes.
Correct. We have 2 children and a third on the way, so
We're trying to make some space.
Want to stay in Jack's Beach in our lot.
We are sure.
and remind us, have you spoken to your neighbors?
Yes.
Yes, extensively.
Okay, any other,
And also just a note, You actually, I think we talked about this last time, Mr. Strickland, you're actually removing some of the side yard setback and pulling your coverage. You're removing that.
It's currently, so we're using the existing lot lines, or we're not changing any of the width of the existing structure.
I'm sorry, before, to the driveway I was looking at.
Oh, yes, there's additional pavement that was there from the
From the previous owner,
previous
I believe,
owner,
yeah.
so some of that will come
You're
up
removing
as
that?
part of.
Yes, yes.
That's what I know that on this information. I have no other questions.
What is your current lot coverage?
Our current lot coverage, I believe, is 6,700, like, we're a 50 by 25 lot.
Or our-
Our coverage of the lot, I think we're at 30,
I'm not sure. Maybe rather, a better idea.
Didn't really consider that.
Yeah.
I'm working on the addition. The existing, I think, is approximately 29-30%.
So below.
yeah.
This is really low.
This is what,
I think it's a bit more than that with the driveway and the other concrete elements, but it's below what the current threshold is, I should say.
Now, yes, as far as the current coverage, what skews that is the fact that the previous owner had poured all the extra concrete that we're gonna be removing in the project. So to tell you what the current coverage is isn't really accurate, other than I can tell you what the house coverage is, which is accurate, and we can prove that, but all that concrete, like I say, all the concrete the previous owner had poured, we're removing all of that. And quite honestly, I didn't take into consideration the calculation for that because we're removing it.
Looks like page 14 of the agenda packet provided shows a calculation in the top left of 37.8% coverage. I don't know if that's in reference to the existing, or I know that's not the current request, but just trying to get to your question, that might be what that was showing.
That may have been the original.
Was that our original?
So it might be around 38%.
It could have been part of our original request.
Your lot doesn't back up to anybody, right? There's an easement there?
There's an easement.
Yep.
The 12-foot alleyway.
Okay, does anybody else have any questions?
you want to stop?
Okay, I will go ahead and open, you can step back, please. I'll go ahead and open the public hearing. Do we have any speakers first?
Just with 2 speaker cards, response. First one is from Alma Israel. Say it right? Bama, sorry. And also Steve sent a letter as well, so I assume you're referencing the letter as well.
I am,
Thank you.
Bama Israel, 818 8th Avenue North. I am adjacent to
You have,
and
you have
behind.
to be sworn.
Yeah. Please raise your right hand. We'll swear
Oh,
you in.
sorry.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this matter is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you.
All right. I do.
Good.
So I am adjacent to and behind this variance. I've been a long-time Jacksonville Beach resident since around 1986. There's been a lot of rebuilds, remodels, tear downs, variances. I've never opposed a variance. This one, however, I am opposing. I feel like it's going to be an invasion of my privacy. No one has spoken to me about how close that will be, nor to the neighbors right next door to me. She and I have spoken about that. I believe you have a letter from them as well opposing this variance. Our main concern is the fact that the lot size is small, and I am sorry that it's small. However, the facts are that it is, and the requirements are in place for a reason. You all made the variances for a reason, and that's to be followed. And I have no problem with anybody following the variances that are stated within. However, according to this, there are certain parts that are almost 50% over. And I don't feel like that that's quite right to do that. I remodeled my home and I did it within the code. And the code enforcement was at my home, making sure that everything that I did was within code. And I feel like that's what this should be as well. I feel like that they should possibly go back to their architect, their contractor. I don't know who's designed their plan, have not seen the plan. My neighbor and I have not been spoken to by anybody, but I feel like they should at least look at a different type of redesign. They can go over top of what's existing of that home now. It's a fairly large home already, and they can go on top of it. Right next door to them, they did an entire remodel of their home and made it suitable. And so I feel like that should be done, and that the codes and the measures of the variance were put in place for a reason, and that's to adhere to the guidelines. So our problem with that is the fact that the lot is so small and the house will be so large, and the variance that they're requesting is so vast. Thank you.
Thank you.
We have a speaker's card from Roger Russell. Oh, okay, sorry. Okay, so should get that. Then we have a letter from a Matthew Baker and a Sarah Lincoln. I'll read it. This letter we received from the COJB regarding a proposed two-story addition to the property located at 813 North 7th Avenue, necessary application of variance. Large lot coverage proposed 35 to 44%, increases significant variance over the existing code. 35% limit was established to protect the green uncovered area of property lots and as such should be adhered to. Rear yard setback from proposed 18 feet in lieu of 30 is completely unacceptable to us as the property owner of 8108 Avenue North behind this dwelling. Obviously, two-story addition built with this variance so close to our property would greatly infringe our backyard privacy. Side yard setback from proposed variance of 13.6 in lieu of 15 feet is negligible and acceptable to us. Therefore, we strongly object to 2 and 3 applications of the variance outlined. That's all the correspondence we have.
Okay, is there anyone in the audience who's not filled out a speaker card that wishes to speak? I'll invite the applicants to come back up and address any of the comments that were made either in the testimony or in the written letters.
Certainly. So to address the comments that were shared there, what I would say is, one, on the comment about our neighbors to the right of us and the addition that they did on their home, they actually turned a 2-bed, 2-bath into a 1-bedroom, 1-bath. What we are trying to do with the addition here is to create about 2,500 square feet under lot coverage for our growing family. And with respect to the rear yard setback, that is purely for the lanai, which is 1 story, which is not going to look over any fences or anything else into other people's backyards. And I would also say that this notice has gone out now 3 times due to different miscommunications between us and the city planner. And in that, this is the first time that we've received a correspondence, to my knowledge. None was shared at the June 4th meeting or June 6th. Might be mixing up those dates, but I guess 3 times is the charm to get people to write back. So what I would say is what we're trying to do is make our home livable for our growing family, and that we would just ask that we could have that granted. Otherwise, we're going to have to look at relocating.
And I guess I would correct what I said earlier about the neighbors that we've spoken to extensively are the ones who are directly next to and in front of us and in the on the street across from us. So no, we have not addressed her personally, so I just wanted to say that.
I think one last point to add in there, there are other two-story homes that are around us. In fact, one of the correspondents came from another two-story home that can look down into our yard in the same way. So I understand how they feel. I feel like that, I felt like that since we bought the home in 2018. But there's not much that I can do about it as a homeowner other than look to go up on a fence or something to the effect, because they are undersized lots.
In addition to that, I'm the residential designer who designed the plans. Addressing the construction end of it, as I hope some of you know, I don't want to go into my resume, but I have a lot of builder and licensing experience too. We did the two-story addition because it was more cost-effective than trying to do a complete over the existing home. My structural engineer and I would literally turn around and not do something like that without telling them possibly we have to tear it down. So that's why we did that. The two-story addition is behind the 30-foot rear setback. It's only the lanai, which is so that they have some kind of outdoor space for them and their children. But it's a financial hardship to try and do the other. I mean, we're going to do some interior renovations, but to turn around and someone propose that I should put this all over the existing, I can tell you, my engineer and I will tell you, we're going to want to bulldoze it down. We don't want to do that. We want to maintain that. I've done houses, renovations going back to Mr. Cooper when he was in charge of the building department. And God rest his soul, John Hayes. I have always tried to make sure in Jack's Beach we do an addition that is as close as we can. Try not to put my client in financial hardship because of someone's opinion.
So if I understand you correctly, the lanai is the only thing that infringes upon the 30 feet from the property line.
Yes, sir.
And you've got a 2-foot easement, so that in fact,
12 foot.
or 12 foot. So in fact, you've got 30 feet from even the residential portion. If we're-
Yes, that was part of my part in helping them. We had that 12-foot alley, and the way I looked at it from previous zoning hearings and working with, all 6 counties in Northeast Florida with these zoning issues, I used that as, the alleyway, which can be built, that compensates for the 12-foot of the lanai.
Okay, thank you. I will now close the public hearing and bring the item back to the board for discussion. Is there a motion?
Make a motion to approve BOA -24-10020 based on testimony and evidence provided. The request has met all the standards for variances outlined in section 34-286 of the Land Development Code.
Second.
Okay, it's moved and seconded. Any discussion?
I didn't recognize the undersized lot, I recognize the hardship of the undersized lot. And I think as a board, we would, if we didn't bring this mass conversations, would have passed the June 4th meeting with no opposition. And that's not what I mean, correct, well, the nine is only 12 feet high. I do recognize that.
Yeah, as well, I think a large portion of the variance requested with the side yard offsets are existing, so it's really the hinges on the 2-story relative to the rear. I'm sorry, man. Shows a hand up in the corner of the 3.
I'm sorry, the public hearing is closed.
I know, I just wanted to say,
Public hearing is closed. Thank
we
you.
didn't get a letter.
Public hearing is closed. Go ahead.
So to that point, I think it is reasonable to consider that the 18-foot to the rear yard setback plus the existing alleyway in the back does meet the 30-foot, and it is of consideration that the 2-story in and of itself then would be 42-foot from the rear neighbors with the concern. So I recognize that concern, but considering the undersized lot, I think this is a reasonable use to make do with the property that they currently have.
I would agree.
Okay, any more discussion? Okay, we have a roll call
Yes.
Todd Smith,
Yes.
Matt Metz,
Yes.
Owen Crowley.
Yes. Your request for variance has been approved. Call the next case, please.
Next case, BOA 24-10030, applicant William F. Carey, property address 915 Grove Street. Motion to consider sections 34336E1E for lot coverage of 50% in lieu of 35%. Maximum to remove and replace original concrete driveway with permeable pavers and replace an existing paver sidewalk with permeable pavers and an existing single-family dwelling to address existing nonconformities at property address 1915 Grove Street.
Okay, as a reminder, each member of the public will be given 3 minutes to speak when we open the public hearing. Does any board member have any ex parte communication?
I've had none.
I've had none.
But none.
I've had none.
None.
And I've had none. Would the applicant please come forward to be sworn in and give their presentation?
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this matter is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Please state your name and address.
William F. Carey, 1915 Grove Street, Jacks Beach.
Go ahead, sir.
Okay, so what I'm trying to do is replace my concrete driveway. And we also have a side driveway that's about 10 by 30 that we're just going to remove. So we have a walkway that's just around the edge of the house that we want to keep, but we want to replace that with permeable pavers along with the driveway with permeable pavers. According to, we're over our lot size as far as over our 35%, but what I understand is with the permeable pavers, instead of 15 or 1,600 square feet in the front yard we have, it would then be around 680 based on 100% permeable.
That calculation is taken into get to your proposed 50%, is that correct?
Correct.
With the permeable pavers.
Right, correct.
So currently you're well 50, I can read that.
Yeah, we're well above that. We're trying to bring it back down. Work was done in the past that we weren't aware of.
Mhm.
And to try and remove some of that we have in the backyard would be a burden at this time.
I guess you must have gone for a permit here for this driveway, correct?
Pardon?
You must have went for a permit for this driveway.
I am applying for a permit.
Well, we appreciate you coming to the board before it's done. This is an opportunity, somebody correct, trying to get proper procedure going, thank you. He's broken into your neighbors?
Well, the neighbors next door to me are renters, don't really care. The other neighbors around the neighborhood are kind of interested to see what's going to happen.
I have no question. And I had one other question, sorry. I'm sure that picture question I had on. Is the driveway straight down, taking that corner out, shrinking it a little bit, is that what you're doing?
So the current driveway is curved.
Curved, okay.
The proposed driveway is just going to come straight down
So you're pulling it down, and you reduce that driveway, pulling straight off the line of the house.
off the house, straight to the house, yes.
Thank you. Sorry.
And are you removing, yeah, there, this picture shows that, are removing the driveway at the top side of this photo?
So on the left-hand side, we're removing the left-hand driveway. That's going to be gone. We're having that removed. So the sidewalk that you see up there is going to be replaced with a permeable pavers. And so, as you can see on the lower hand side here, there's like a mini S curve. That's going to be just some permeable pavers going to the gate to the backyard.
That paper area that the gate goes through, is that permeable pavers or regular pavers?
Everything that we're doing in the front yard where work is being done is 100% permeable pavers.
So I'm going to say this back to you, I believe you've already stated all this, but I just want to make sure that my recollection or understanding is clear. You're going from 57% lot coverage, requesting to reduce down to 50 by removing the driveway on the left, restructuring a curved driveway into a straight driveway, and adding a small walkway from the driveway to a paver walk. And all of that is the totality of the request.
Well, and that one walkway will be removed also and replaced by permeable pavers.
So the existing walkway will be
Yes.
replaced with permeable pavers to get to that reduction.
Correct.
7%.
Okay, do we have any other questions? Okay, sir,
I'm sorry. Have you done any work work since purchasing the property?
Yes.
Can you point out to us what work you've done on the
We
property?
had a pool put in, and around the pool, we had permeable pavers put in. And then at the time, they ran the pavers down the side of the property into that driveway that we're gonna remove, that I was telling you about. And then a walkway around the back.
And at that time, you didn't have to apply for any variance for that?
We weren't aware of the variance that was needed at this time. We were talking with the contractor, we just kind of expanded the work.
Is the pool enclosure shown here totally covered area? Is that all impervious space?
The pool is over the,
Is there
Yeah.
like a shelter over the pool, or is
it's
the pool
just, it's screened, it's a
screen?
screen.
And is there decking around the pool area? How much of that area
There's
is?
pavers inside the screen.
What's the size of the pool within that screen?
The pool, well, the enclosed area under the screen is roughly 45 by 20, 15 or 20. The pool is 30 feet by 15.
30 by 15.
Okay, any other questions?
And you are at 50% lot coverage because you're getting a dispensation for approximately half of the lot coverage because of the nature of the pavers. So really, there's coverage of some kind of paver or concrete for more like close to 60% of your property.
It's probably a little more than that.
And is this the minimum that you can do?
Well, this is all, basically, the only way I could meet the requirement would be have to take up all the other pavers I have in the backyard, or replace them all with permeable paver. Which would be about $11,000 to replace,
When was the pool put in?
around 2,000.
Did you own it at that time?
Pardon?
Did you own it at that time?
Did I own it?
Yes, in 2000?
Yeah, we bought it in '92.
Any further questions for the applicant? Okay, sir, you can sit down. Do we have any speakers cards?
Okay, Mr. Carter, for this
No correspondence?
correspondence?
Is there anyone in the audience who has not filled out a speaker's card that wishes to speak? Okay, I will now close the public hearing and bring the item back to the board for discussion. Is there a motion?
Make a motion to approve case BOA 24-10030, based on testimony and evidence provided with the request of the Helms Standards for variance as outlined in 34286 of the Land Development Code.
Second.
Okay, so moved and seconded. Any discussion?
I do struggle a little bit that he got to 50%. Who's reducing 57?
Yeah, I think it is an undersized lot, so that's of some consideration, but it does not get us to what we think of as a typical 50% view. I do commend going from the 57 down to the 50 and being thoughtful about the changes that are being proposed here. I think there is some consideration to the overall lot coverage, but looking at the duration of the existing condition, and clearly that sizable install of a pool must have been cleared and permitted at some point in time, so if that was not addressed 24 years ago, I find it hard to lean in at this time on that state. So for me, I think it's an existing use case that he's done a marital job to find a 70% reduction to make use of the property as it sits today.
I would agree. I mean, it's been difficult with this cage around the pool to reduce that. And my neighbors here commenting about drainage.
Okay, if there's no other discussion, can we have a roll call vote, please?
Jeff Trular,
Yes.
Todd Smith,
Yes.
John Moreland,
Yes.
Matt Metz,
Yes.
Owen Curley.
Yes. Your request for
owner Hank and Susan Woodburn, property address 510 Sugar Avenue. Motion to consider sections 34337, 377, deviation from parking standards for 0 parking spots in lieu of required parking. 34-425, deviation from landscape standards for no permit parking or other landscape buffers and shade trees in lieu of all required landscaping. 3434D, 3A for northerly and southerly front setbacks of 2 feet in lieu of 10 feet minimum for construction of paddle tennis facility located at property address 510 Center Avenue.
Okay, as a reminder, each member of the public will be given 3 minutes to speak when we open the public hearing. Does any board member have any ex parte communication?
I've had none.
I've had none.
But none.
I've had none.
None.
And I've had none. Would the applicant please come forward to be sworn in and give their presentation?
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this matter is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Please state your name and address.
Jeff Malaire, 425 Oceanwood Drive, Neptune Beach, Florida.
Go ahead, sir.
I was born in Daytona Beach, Florida. I first came to Jacksonville in 1987 for a tennis tournament right down the street at Huguenot Park. Graduated from FCCJ, played tennis there, graduated from UNF and played tennis there. Tennis took me around the world. One spot it took me was Spain, where I saw paddle tennis, and that was 20 years ago. All the excitement of pickle, easy to start points, very social, lot of gathering. Fast forward 20 years and I see pickle like doing the same thing here in Neptune, Jax Beach, everywhere. And I'm hoping to be the first to bring paddle tennis to North Florida. If you come along with me on page 2, the facility would be simple, super clean lines, vibrant colors, very aesthetically pleasing every single inch of the property. Pickleball is your fastest growing sport in America. Paddle tennis is your fastest growing sport in the world. It's the refined version. You get to play it on AstroTurf instead of cement. You get to use a tennis ball instead of a wiffle ball. The paddle's thicker, sounds better. There's no kitchen sink to, put yourself in odd positions. I feel like it's a really great game to bring to Jacksonville. It fits the active, health-minded lifestyle of the beaches, socializing, fellowship, family-friendly. It's a welcoming vibe for everybody. I think it would have an incredible positive effect along with the bowling alley there, recreationally and socially for Cheddar Avenue. I think it goes right along with Donna Deegan's sports travel initiative, trying to bring people to travel here. We'd have national tournaments, we'd have international tournaments. They could stay at the hotels and walk to the facility. The first variance, 34377, was the parking. I just want you to know that we have 17 spots. Yoga is designated 5 spots, so we would have 12 spots to use. I've attached some precedents from other counties, but we are at the beaches. I live at the beach. I feel like we have a lot of walkers. We're gonna target the local businesses, the local apartments, the hotels and the Airbnbs. We have plenty of bikers, skaters, scooters, e-bikers, e-scooters, electric skateboards. We'll encourage people to do that. When I go out to dinner with my family and kids, we bike, because it is a little crowded. Uber, we feel families, couples, and friends will encourage them to ride share. If you turn the page to page 5, the last couple of months I've been going by Cheddar, and even though she has a yoga program, I feel like it's lightly used, the parking facility, the 17 spots. My key times would be 9 and 5. So page 6 shows a little bit more, page 7 shows a little bit more. Stop me if I'm going too fast or if you have any questions. The attachment 2 would be other counties. So Jax Beach does not address courts or tennis courts or pickle courts. This is an athletic facility and it goes by square footage. Volusia County, if you turn to page 10, they earmark 2 parking spots per court. Melbourne, Florida, 2 spots per tennis court. Jackson County in the Panhandle, 2 spots per court. That was about it on Unicode. California, hotspot for racket courts. Huntington Park, California, 2 parking spots per court. Same with Salt Lake City, Utah. I have a buddy out there, racket sports going crazy, 2 spots per swim or tennis. And then lastly, Loomis, California, another spot for pickleball, 2 spaces per each court. On the next page, page 21, I have a letter from Hank, from the owner of the property, stating on average that the yoga uses 4 to 5 parking spots in the main lot. Moving on to the other variance, 34-344, variance in regards to the setbacks. I feel our courts are temporary structures. It's the most beautiful fence you've ever seen. It's plexiglass. We can take a court down in 2 hours. I've attached a rendering on the next page. You basically see through the court. And if we go back to page 2, if you want to reference that, you're going to be seeing green turf, blue turf, and then a really cleaned up property. We're coming from this West Secondhand Roads. It was used as White's Nursery, and we named it the Paddle Gardens to fit in the same theme. We're going to have palms and pots. It's going to be completely decorated with flowers, plants, and things like that. On the next page, I think we're going to be great for Cheddar. You know, currently people not only up to the setback, but outside their setbacks, and things, you know, that aren't aesthetically beautiful as our club. On page 25, if you want me to ivy the front fence so you couldn't see through, we can. We were hoping to see through that front fence on Cheddar, but we can cover it up for you. And then the third issue, the existing landscaping, 34-425. We feel our parking lot is landscaped. It's completely landscaped, those 17 spots on our property. Secondly, the entire property is fenced, and we use ivy walls to make it look aesthetically nice. I mentioned we were going to stay with the theme of the gardens, the paddle gardens, using shade structures, palms, plants, and things like that. I acknowledge the letter from the Planning and Development Department, which recommends approval of the variance, of the 2 variances. If we provide the required off-street parking of 2 spaces per tennis court. And we would be prepared to do that in hopes that you'd approve all 3 variances. Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Okay, any questions?
Yes, a few. We'll start with that. Your application has 0 parking in the variance, and you reference these 17. These 17, I assume, are associated to the yoga and the event space. Is that correct?
2 Cheddar and what was used for the nursery.
But then the nursery would be part of the same space. Why would, I'm just trying to find, he's mentioning 17, I count 17, but we don't have 0 in the application. Help me understand. Well, he's talking about 17 and 0 in the application.
So both businesses are on one, let him, I'm sorry.
Just trying to, what's the question? So the application is for 0 parking spaces.
0 new additional. I was
Yeah, no
assuming.
additional parking spaces. These are the required one. So, we can keep whatever he has now.
What is the requirement by our standards for parking for all businesses? So, if you just a second. Okay, nice answer.
I know you're right.
I believe it's going to be, and you can verify, 6 spots per 2,000 square feet. Each one court is 2,000 square feet. That put me at 60 parking spots. But that's not for a tennis court or a pickleball court. That's for a fitness center.
Absolutely, but because of the application I'm reading has 4 0 parking spaces in lieu of required parking. I don't read 0 additional. I read 0. If it was additional, I would have a question.
Yeah, it says 0 parking spaces. What's the original applications?
Then I noticed you, while he's looking up, you reference your time usage is 9 to 5. I saw him rendering 25. Is this a night course as well? I assume you're
Our main use would be 9 to 5, but we'd be open 7 to 10 per Jack's Beach regulations.
I'm reading the staff analysis, and the sentence that's standing out to me is the current LDC does not have a specific standard for parking for tennis courts. What standard would be applied to question to staff by default?
Yeah, there's no language for that, so that's why we recommended the 2 tennis courts per parking spot.
Well, if we don't have language around tennis court, then what is it classified as on the property? It's classified as?
Fitness center.
Fitness center, yeah.
Okay, so what's the fitness center standard that we're saying probably would not be reasonable to apply?
I'll have to look that up real quick.
6 courts per 2,000 square feet. So 1 court would carry demand of 6 parking spots, is the last I had looked.
How many courts do we have?
5.
Lots would be
5.
So let's check on that. All right, I'm looking at the applicant, at the application. I don't see. It says 2 parking per court.
That's what I
Okay,
guess.
so that's what it says, 2.
That's what 2 per parking.
2 per court, not the 0. 2 per court.
That's the recommendation.
Yeah,
It's a recommendation.
well, that's what's on the application.
My initial application was for 2 parking spots per court.
Right.
So we would have to amend the request as stated. And if that type of an amendment, do we need to, I don't think we need to republish because the variance is still around parking, which is what they would have been addressing regardless. Right? So we just need to specify clearly in the amended request what the parking is that we're going to consider.
The existing parking is 17 spaces?
Yes, sir.
On site, not including anything else.
Offsite is undeveloped. But we developed it on my page 2 for you. That's what it would look like.
And there's nothing shown here for a designated area for bike parking or golf cart parking or anything like
Easily
that.
added, but no.
You say easily added, and we know we're going to amend the request. I'm curious, would you suggest any specific criteria around that to include in that amendment, to include X places for bike parking or golf cart parking or anything to that effect? Would you anticipate?
Christian wrote me back. He said because they can't count what's there. They can't count what's there because the yoga studio and the other business account for all that parking. And also it isn't paved, so it wouldn't count anyway. So that's why they asked. That's why it's 0, because the yoga studio.
So the 12 parking spaces that the yoga studio isn't using don't count toward this at all?
Yeah, they don't count because this yoga studio and the other business account for all that parking already. And plus, like, it's nothing's being over there anyway.
Hold on. Christian Bully had said yoga needs 5 spots. That was his reading of the
Yeah.
ordinance.
Yeah.
So
So
there's
there's 5 out of
17,
5 out of 17.
and they only need 5, so there are 12 available for this in the existing parking.
I believe so, yeah.
All right, now I'm confused on the parking issue. This drawing here, this is your parking, right?
Yes. Can I come up and point to it?
Oh, no, I've got it right here. That's what I thought. And that's what you're asking for, right, that parking?
So I'm letting you guys know that we have 17 on the property,
Okay, I see what you're saying, okay.
and that we, per the planning's recommendation, we can develop more parking for you for the shelter area.
Right, okay, I see what you're saying.
And that would be
So
out.
it is actually 0 parking. It is 0 parking.
You could develop more parking places in 17.
There's 10 out on front of Shadow Road, and there's 6 more on 5th Street, and there's 5 more on 1st, yes.
And those spaces are not used.
They're dirt right now and they're used, probably not in their best, fashion, parking sideways, parking at an angle, things like that. The automotive store is all over the one to the west of this property is all over those spots. And if we clean them up and line them, it would look better.
Yeah, parking is pretty wild over there.
Yeah, we're willing to help.
So what they're saying is that all these parking spaces are used or allocated to other businesses.
That's right.
Right, so they're zero, so
Zero,
we're not
right.
gonna allocate anything to those.
How I read it too, okay.
Yeah. that's-
I'm confused in terms of, you can develop additional parking places. Where would the development be? And why, if you need to have more than 12, why aren't you planning on developing new parking places?
The second question is, I don't feel like we need more than 2 per court. I feel like 10 would be sufficient. But I understand the problems with the bowling alley and the area. If I could point to your paper, well, I'll point to mine. So the middle is 17, and these are extra dirt that we could develop and line for you to make them look better both on Cheddar, on 5th, and on First Avenue South. That's where the extra parking is. Right now, the outside is dirt, so it's just dirt and grass or, kind of just undeveloped. So we wouldn't claim them in ours. They would be developed as public use for everyone. To help.
Spend off-street parking.
Yes. And I think that's kind of what Christian Popoli and their staff were going for with that.
Is that what you're going for?
I'm initially going for the 2 parking spots per court, but I'm willing to negotiate, with the letter at the end, for the whole package.
I just don't understand how we're talking 2 spots when you're saying those D different spaces.
Yeah, okay, so you're talking about, you want 2 parking spots per court.
I would like the ordinance for courts to be, 2 parking spots per court, and we fall well under that.
Okay, but your application is for 0.
Additional,
These are all allocated to other businesses.
which ones are?
The parking that's there is allocated to other.
Only 5 of those spots should be allocated to yoga. There should be 12 spots free.
Yes, correct. Should be 12 spots for
No, those are on private Cheddar property, so they would be for the Paladins. And we have spoken with the owner of the yoga studio.
And I understand for the yoga studio, if it's yoga or whatever, the square footage has to still meet this parking space in case it converts to something else. For our, we should not consider it yoga, considering the purpose of that space, the square footage.
Can staff confirm that the footage of this yoga environment under other use cases that are included in that zoning area would still be a 5-space requirement?
These are the questions we don't understand.
If you look at where the yoga studio is seated today and the zone that it sits in and what businesses can be there, that the maximum use of spaces required by the square footage of any use type available in that zone is 5.
Correct.
We also include the event space too, that's currently there. It's not just yoga, it's the event space that currently exists there.
Is the event planning still operable business?
It's still structurally there.
Has the event planning space been accounted for to staff?
I wasn't aware of the event plan is.
And may I say that it is the same person that does the yoga and event planning.
But if they sold
Square footage.
sold the building and somebody came up with a different use case and used the full square footage with 5 spaces, still the number of spaces are required to them is the question to staff.
When they have to recomply as they apply for a new business, like I am,
correct, but if the building sits on a lot and they needed, say, 10 spaces, then you would no longer have 12, because they would have 10 and there would only be however many remaining to use, is what we're saying. Is the structure is what we have to consider for the use case, not the business currently
Business
using the
license
structure.
currently used as.
There's a lot of ambiguity right now in terms of understanding the completeness of this process, which I think is what's giving us some of these.
I understand.
Okay, does anybody else have any questions for the staff or for the applicant?
I just want to make one comment, that I go by there with some regularity, and, parking is packed much of the time. The pictures that are reflected in this application, I don't know, where those cars go, they take the pictures, but they're there in the morning and the afternoon time of the line.
There's nearly no parking in this area. I live right down the street from this area, and it's frankly an area that struggles with traffic for various reasons. So I think that something like this is a potential benefit to the community to have a nice safe space to draw people in, especially with some of the other recent developments in the area. But I do think that parking would be of particular concern and consideration to something to the effect of golf cart parking or bicycle parking, or what can be done on the street would go a long way. But from what we have to consider here on this board is not what we believe the appropriate use case is, but what the lot entails and what the requirements are of the lot. And I think at this point it's very difficult to understand what is directly being requested relative to what our code requirements are, which is the complexity I struggle with. But I would second kind of your comments that it is little to no parking in this area, with a very mixed use case of businesses.
May I ask, do you see the crowded cars in the yoga area, or do you see them around?
Mostly around.
So that's not our property, and that's my point, is we have our own spots for this business inside the property. And I totally understand there's a mess of cars around the outside, but that's on public. We have enough parking spots inside there for this club, and it's super lightly used. I can, again, help you with shedder parking, I can help you with fifth parking, and I can help you with, get my streets right, First Avenue North parking. So, I mean,
Can you be more specific in terms of how you can help us?
How about the recommendation from the planning? I'll develop 10 more spots
On your property?
off the property,
That's,
That's public parking.
yeah.
public parking.
I think that's all the recommendations stated, I believe. It said remove a court and add 10 spots.
I'm sorry, say that again?
If you read the recommendation, it did not say, it was not referencing the right-of-way public parking was on the recommendation was to remove one court and add 10 spots.
Required on-street parking.
Can I read that one?
So the site must provide
No, no.
required off-street parking at
That's
least.
off street, are we wrong?
Yeah, site must provide required off-street parking at the rate of 2 spaces.
Per tennis court. So we can even raise it to 3 spaces per tennis court off streets. I would develop 15 spots for the shed area.
I would think that would be helpful.
Fair questions. Fair questions. To get to the public comment.
Okay, if there's no other questions for the applicant, you step back, sir, we'll open the public hearing. Do we have any speakers?
Yes, we must do
hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this matter is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Please state your name and address.
Zach Brown, 50 North Laura Street, Suite 2100, Jacksonville, Florida. Good evening, board members. Again, my name is Zach Brown. I work at the law firm of Balch and Bingham, and we are here tonight on behalf of 5 Points LLC. They're the owner of 528 Beach Boulevard, which is where the Parlor Donuts is. And they object to this request. There are a number of reasons why. I wrote the board a letter several days back, and I hope you've all had a chance to review that, so I'm just going to touch on a few of the high notes here. The first being that the fact that paddle tennis or pickleball is not included in the Jacksonville Beach Land Development Code. We're kind of making up standards and parking requirements on the fly here. We don't think that that's a very good way to zone and plan and develop Jacksonville Beach. Also, this is in the commercial services district, and we don't think that like a paddle tennis courts for the public to use is compatible with that. It's more geared towards commercial services, restaurants, shops, bars, those kinds of things. We also found the application to be defective. The Jacksonville Beach Land Development Code requires you under 34-286 to meet 6 of the criteria for variances for this board to grant. And the application and the applicant himself admitted that 4 of the 6 didn't apply to this request, just because the use doesn't necessarily fit on this parcel, or parcels in this case, because it's multiple combined into one, isn't a good reason to grant a variance request. We found the site plan didn't include some of the off-court stuff, like the picnic tables and social areas that the depictions of the use set forth that were also in the application. And then obviously, you all have all harped on it tonight so far, but the parking. We didn't feel like it properly addressed the commercial areas, specifically what if those uses in the yoga studio or the existing, or the discontinued nursery, if those come alive, that's going to also back up the parking as it currently exists. And we found that the staff's use of and the applicant's use of other land development codes, Volusia County, Jackson County, Melbourne, are not really applicable to a beach community like Jacksonville Beach. We find that 2 tennis courts per court is not good enough. If you've ever been to a pickleball court when either having leagues or whatever it may be, the social aspect of it, there's spectators, there's wives and husbands mingling with other wives and husbands. The two parking spot per tennis court is more, it should be geared towards tennis court. We feel like this is a little bit of a different use and a different style of, and it's not as compatible with that tennis court. So that's all my time. Thank you. We request that you deny this request. Sir.
You represent what space again? 528?
528 Beach Boulevard.
Okay. Landmark that to me for
It's Parlor Donuts.
I'm sorry?
Parlor Donuts.
Okay. Oh, Parlor Donuts. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so I knew that.
Sure.
Please, appreciate it.
Okay, what else we have?
Okay. Next one is Patrice Rains. Is that right? Patricia Rains, sorry.
I am Patricia Rains. My address
Excuse-
is 507.
You're good,
Please,
right?
please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this matter is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Please state your name and address.
As I stated, my name is Patricia Rains. My address is 507 First Avenue South. I'm here about the parking. I desperately need the parking in front of my house. I have a little handicap that means that I need the parking right in front of my door, and I don't need to have to fight others from around the corner and the next door business to get into my house. So I don't think we need a business there that's going to bring more parking problems in the area.
do not wish to support, but you oppose the, and your address is 507 First Street Avenue South. Okay. And he was represented. And we have two other correspondence. First one is from Elias Hyenes. To whom may concern, my name is Elias Hyenes. I'm a representative for the property owner of 506 Beach Boulevard, Jimmy John's. I am writing to object to the proposed pickleball court retail space at 510 Shetty. The applicant does not call for near enough parking for the proposed use and will be a fair and reasonable burden on adjacent property owners for parking. We also have a email from Angela Rankin. The proposed development of 510 Shade with 0 parking spaces on unreasonable burden on ABC Fine Wine Spirits, property at 608 Beach Boulevard. We are not in support of the development as it does not meet the parking standards. And that's all I have.
Good.
That is it.
Okay, would the applicant like to come forward and address any of the comments made, either in testimony or in the emails and letters?
Yes. So first off, as far as the use, it is zoned a fitness center. Just like the bowling, it's zoned an athletic, fitness use. So I don't understand the objection to its use. Secondly, I understand parking. We're here to help you with parking. I can do 20 off-street public parking spots for you, for that area. Take 10 on Cheddar, 5 on 5th, and 5 on First Avenue North. So I'm here to help with that problem. And again, on my property, I feel those 12 are sufficient for our program. So we'd be chipping in for Cheddar, for the area. And there's no way we need 20 additional spots. So, appreciate it.
There's already a parking overflow problem anyway, though. It's not just your business, it's already an overflow problem.
I understand that, and that's why I'm help you develop 20 more
I
spots.
don't know much about pickleball. I have been to a couple events just to watch, and it does seem to draw a lot of people. I will say that.
We have 5 courts. Donner Park has 8. Jarbo has 6, plus 2 tennis courts, plus a playground. We're going to be a different type of boutique club. It costs something to rent the court, so it is more of a refined game, something in the sense if you think about going to play tennis at a high school, or if you think about going to Ponte Draining Club, or somewhere where there's clay courts. So it is a unique spot, and again, I think, it's not going to have the look of a Jarbo Park, of that type of craziness. It's going to be a private membership club, where you rent the courts. And again, I think if we could develop the 20 spots, we would be at 30, the initial, 6 per court. It would just be a combination of private and public. So we would even fall under the current fitness center requirements of 6 courts per 2,000 square feet. We'd be at about 1232.
Okay, thank you.
I appreciate it.
Okay, I will now close the public hearing and bring the item back to the board for discussion. Is there a motion?
Let's make a motion for discussion. We'll make a motion to deny application BOA 24-10031 based on testimony evidence provided. The request fails to meet standards. Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Is there a discussion?
Do we want to discuss the standards it does not meet?
That would be good.
Would we be more specific on that?
Yeah.
For me, I'm very still not comfortable with parking.
So I'd say the first criteria, special conditions and circumstances exist which are peculiar to the parcel of land, building, or structure which are not applicable to other parcels of land, structures, or buildings in the same zoning district. I don't think anything was presented here that outlines what's unique to this parcel of land. I think the business use case was unique in that it's not explicitly outlined in the code, but as the code exists today, I think about the parcel itself stood out as unique. Special circumstances and conditions do not result from the actions of the applicant. Again, I think that the circumstance provided was the elected use case relative to the existing code. Granting the variance does not confer upon the applicant any special privilege by the comprehensive plan in this code other parcels of land, buildings, or structures in the same zoning district. I think it was presented in testimony that this would be a potential designation of use case in code by board versus what we would expect to come from city council approved level land development code. So while the use case is not explicitly stated, this would be granting some privilege of on-the-fly creation of that code. Literal interpretation and enforcement of the terms and provisions would deprive the applicant of rights commonly enjoyed by other parcels of land in the same zoning district and would work unnecessarily in undue hardship. I don't see any issue with the way that the use case and surrounding properties have received unique circumstances around parking or dictation. This is going against by denying this request. Granting of variance is the minimum variance that will make possible reasonable use of the parcel of land, building, or structure. It has had a historical use case as other business types and entities without exception to parking, so this exception seems like it would be unique and not the minimum variance reasonable to make use of the land. Grant of a variance will be generally consistent with the purposes, goals, objectives, and policies of the comprehensive plan. In this code will be not adversely affect adjacent land. I think we're probably okay on 6. If there's reason to believe 5 out of 6 do not require no variance to make reasonable use of the property.
I disagree. I think that there are special conditions and circumstances that exist peculiar to this parcel. It is a corner lot that was platted a long time ago and has just been neglected. There are no special circumstances that arise from the actions of the applicant in that, and especially in the parking issue, because parking is a mess over there anyway. I don't think that granting the variance would confer upon the applicant any special privileges denied by the comprehensive zoning plan. To the extent that this is a physical fitness facility, it's not a weightlifting facility or weight training apparatus, and those are excluded. So I disagree with the attorney that submitted the letter that said that it's not covered. I would say that the literal interpretation and enforcement of terms and provision of the code would deprive the applicant of the right commonly enjoyed to use this parcel of land in the manner that he selected. I think that granting the variance is the minimum variance made possible with this land, and we've employed off-street parking on this board before, although we don't have precedent. But we have used off-street parking in these situations where parking is very, very tight, and quite frankly, the street, on-street parking and street parking is just a mess. I do think that granting the variance would be consistent with the purpose and objectives and policies of the comprehensive plan. And even though we've heard from the owners of Parlor Donuts and the Jimmy John's and the ABC store, they are across Cheddar. And the member of the public that spoke is she's at 507, which is on the other side. I don't think we're going to have any issue there. But I don't think it would adversely affect their land. So I think we've covered both the pros and cons of this.
Yeah, and I would speak to the parking and street parking. I think from a board perspective, looking at the law itself, the street parking would definitely benefit the community in the area at large. That would be a great thing to have. I think that the applicant has done a commendable job of presenting the use case and the benefits that it can bring the community. And like I said, I think there's a lot of value as I look at it from that perspective. But when I look at the lot and what the lot is capable of and the code as it sits today, those street spots could be developed by the city theoretically anyway to bring that value to the community. And I think it would be wonderful to have a private entity bring that to us and not put the burden on the city and the taxpayers. But from a code enforcement perspective, I don't want to lean on that or hinge on that as what drives my decision here. And I think that the concern I'm hearing from the community of surrounding businesses and residents is that should there be overflow from this lot, not necessarily this use case or business, but from this lot, it could burden them in enforcing what they need for their parking, whether it's access to their residence or the parking they need to effectively run their business. And so to the extent that the code allots a certain number of spaces required for the use case here, it's a difficult consideration to weigh, even considering the addition of street parking, but I think that is a outstanding, outreach to support the community in a way to make use of this lot.
Okay, any further discussion?
I think you both make good points.
We also have the option of probably deferring it to August 21st, so for to get more information and add more things to the agenda to try to help out the applicant a bit more.
I think to get more information, I would need to get a sense of what that would be pursuing to support deferral, because I think we've had a large number of people show up and write in, and that's a big ask to ask the community to have to go through that multiple times. So if in the applicant's response there's reason to believe that there's a specific adjustment to be anticipated, if we're just saying, hey, let's give them more time to think about it, I think this is the time that we need to make that consideration.
Okay, any other discussion? Okay, so we're gonna, the vote is that we're gonna undertake is to deny this. In the event that we deny, or if that motion does not pass, then we're gonna have to turn around and vote to approve it, just so everybody understands that. So a denial is not an approval, right? So we'll have to, voting for the denial first, and then we'll have to take the second step if that fails, okay?
And denial is a yes vote.
A denial is a yes, but thank you. Okay, so. All right, with that in mind, can we have a roll call vote, please?
Todd Smith,
No.
John Moreland,
No.
Jeff Schuler,
Yes.
Matt Metz,
Yes.
Owen Curley.
No. Okay, so the motion to deny the variance has failed. Is there a motion now to approve the variance?
Mr. Chair, can I just clarify legally?
Absolutely.
And by all means, if that's the motion you all want to make, you can, but under your code, the two other permissible motions would be a motion to grant, which would be approved, or grant with conditions. Conditions would be something you feel the evidence, the variance level is not being met unless those conditions are agreed to. So those are two options that are still open. It's just not, you're not ministerial at this point that you have to approve it. You could approve it, with conditions. There should be, if for some reason the board wants to go that second route, there should be a discussion on the potential conditions. I am not advocating any of these options. I just want to lay on the table the options that are available to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay,
Make a motion.
is there a motion?
Make a motion to approve BOA 24-10031, based on testimony that was provided. The request has met the standards for variances outlined in section 34286 of the Land Development Code.
Okay, it's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, it's moved and seconded. Discussion?
When I look at the staff recommendations about that line, based on staff's plan review, a reduction of one court would be likely to provide the needed spaces for 8 to 10 parking spots. That's what I keep looking at. It was number 5, looking at the granted minimum variance. I was just trying to see if we get those additional spots. That's what I kept kind of. Granted, I think any business is required when they develop space to enhance the public parking with curbs and such, whatever. That's great. Doesn't help the business. That's what my struggle was. application with a number of spots we feel appropriate to add within the parcel contained. Said it all, I go to Harley Davidson, I walked in there one time, and there was 10 cars in there, and there was nobody inside the place, and I said, where is everybody?
The staff recommendations to require the off-street parking presented, so while we can't credit it to the property based on the staff's recommendation, we can maybe ask our legal counsel here if we can require that they at least create it, even if it will not be under their ownership post-creation.
Part of the build-up, right? Development.
So what do you think?
Can you, this sounds like it's more of a planning level question, but I'd be happy, can you rephrase the question?
So, Matt's discussion was that, based on the staff recommendation, it's the staff's recommendation that the site must provide off-street parking at a rate of 2 spaces per tennis court on-site, but would have to meet the required perimeter and internal landscaping standards. So the question is, could we require them to develop off-street parking as a condition of the approval of the variance?
I think it comes down, to whether you feel the parking is necessary, if you will, to establish perhaps the minimum variance necessary. So it's, without that parking, does the board feel that the criteria for a variance is not met? And, I don't know if I'm saying it as eloquently out loud as I'm trying to think of it in my mind, but, if you think that without that condition, you can't approve the variance, taking into account that ultimately it's a group vote, but individually, that could be the reason for making a motion to amend. If you think that with such a change, you could support the variance, but without you couldn't, then perhaps that's a reasonable reason to move to amend. I don't know if
So
that,
I guess really the question is, can we do that even if it's off-street parking?
and that part of it is I don't have the planning expertise and familiarity with our land development code. I cannot advise you guys definitively on that.
Is staff able to speak to that at this time? Whether we can require as a part of our approval that they develop off-street parking that is not part of their lot?
Yeah, that's what we recommended, so you guys recommend approve that.
I would recommend that it be, the gist of it would be, without such condition, you don't feel this variance can be approved. It shouldn't be a discretionary, it should be, something like that should be a determining factor as to whether or not you feel the variance criteria is met, if I'm being clear enough.
I think,
I'd like to make a motion to.
Well, there's a motion on the floor, so right now it would be either vote on the, you can entertain a motion to amend the motion, so just, sorry, I cut you off before you finished your thought.
Before we make amendment on Salt Street Park, we do not know what this parking is applicable for size and space. We're just assuming this drawing here shows, when the city recommends it, and how many they can park. Was there showing no ADA spaces? That's why I'm not sure it is, so I'm a little, there's no dumpster enclosure. So it's kind of.
John, are you gonna,
Those are good points.
those are really good points.
Yeah.
I'll also say that if we were to deny the request, I don't think that precludes the applicant from submitting a different request with a more defined use case in the future versus us constructing one through an amended motion if we're unclear on those details.
Another really good point. So I think if we deny it, they have to wait a year, right?
That's not 25% change.
Yeah,
I don't know how it works in this
so-
zone area.
They have to wait
which 25% have a zero request is any request at all.
Okay, John, were you going to, let me keep cutting you off, sorry.
I was gonna make an amended motion that we approve it with the condition that there are 10 public parking places that will be developed and maintained, because of the impact that this is going to have on the future of the traffic in the area and the businesses that will be affected by it.
Okay, so there's a motion to amend the original motion now. So is there a second?
Second.
Okay, that motion has been seconded. Discussion on the motion to amend.
This doesn't cover the internal parking, that's necessary. Well, I think it does cover some of the staff recommendations of requiring off-street parking, still not addressing additional parking spots. Because apparently those aren't even legal parking spots right now, they're just parking on the grass there.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, but I don't think it's a parking spot. There's no curb, even drainage, or anything.
Yep, there's no curvature there. No.
There's no little traffic motion on it. I know.
The motion I just made takes into account
Development.
development costs and maintenance costs.
Okay, any further discussion on the motion to amend? Okay, so before we do, the motion to amend is, the vote will be, to amend it for the off-street parking and to maintain, or develop and maintain. Okay, wait.
Can I just jump in one more time, because I haven't worked with this board much, so I'm probably telling you something you already know, but this vote is whether or not you wish for the main motion to be amended.
That's correct.
Yeah, so everyone's aware of that? Okay, just want to make sure.
Yeah, so we're amending the main motion for that. Any questions?
So yes vote means what now?
That we're amending. Yes means we're gonna vote to amend.
Okay.
We're not approving it, we're just voting to amend. Okay, everybody good with that? Here we go. We have a roll call vote, please.
John Moran,
Yes.
Jeff Trular,
No.
Todd Smith,
Yes.
Matt Metz,
Yes.
Owen Curley.
Yes, okay. The motion has been amended. Any discussion now on the amended motion?
Still take cars left, the internal parking. But,
The amended motion is to approve the request with the condition that he's responsible for building and maintaining 10 additional off-street parking.
That's right. Okay. Any discussion on that, now that the motion has been amended? Any discussion on that? Okay, so a yes vote is to approve the variance as amended. Okay, let's go.
John Moreland,
Yes.
Jeff Trular,
No.
Todd Smith,
Yes.
Matt Metz,
No.
Owen Curley.
Yes. Okay, your request for a variance has been approved with the amendment and the conditions. Okay, that was the last case. So, planning department report?
Yes. So there was the landscaping and the setback variances too. Are those included?
Yes, these are also included, yes.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Our next meeting is on July 16th, and there's 2 items on there. In August, we'll also be having a workshop for LTC. All the board members are welcome, well, should be there. And that's at 6 p.m. on August 28th. I sent you invites, so I'll see you.
And we're also welcome
It's in the first three too, yeah. The 28th is the one you probably should be in.
Just one meeting. Just one, is it two or one? So we've got one thing.
There's like, the meetings was one for the boards, one for the public.
There's one for the public on the 14th, and then at our meeting, the second, week of, or the second board meeting of August, that following Thursday is for all boards. And then the next week at city council, we'll get the final review and commentary from public and boards.
Okay, next on the agenda is courtesy of the floor to visit